All right, good morning, everyone. We are going to combine lesson 3 and lesson 4 because they're both dividing integers. So let's start with lesson 3. I can divide rational numbers. So here are the division rules. Dividing by the same sign, the quotient is positive, which means dividing by two positives gives me a positive. Dividing by two negatives gives me a positive also. Dividing by different signs is a negative, which means dividing a positive by a negative or dividing a negative by a positive gives me a negative sign. So we're going to read the division of fractions steps. Change the problem to multiplying, the dividend of the reciprocal of the divisor. We're not going to read the dividing decimals because we're going to use it in the decimal calculator. So let's go over a couple of these. These are divided up into dividing integers, dividing fractions, dividing decimals. So dividing integers, pretty easy. 4 goes into 28 7 times, and those are both negative. So my answer is positive 7. Negative 36 divided by 9 goes in there 4 times. So a negative divided by a positive is a negative. 168 divided by 8 is 21, and that is a negative answer. Let's go over the fractions. Now we're going to take the reciprocal and go through the steps. So the first fraction stays the same. You change it to a multiplying sign, and when you do that, you have to take the reciprocal, which is just flip that fraction. So let's take a look at it. The first fraction stayed the same. I changed the sign, and I took the reciprocal of the second one. Now I'm just going to multiply straight across. Keep in mind that's a negative 12. And my final answer, reduced, will be 1 1/3. All right, let's do one more. Negative 8/9. I'm going to rewrite that. I'm going to change it to multiplying. And then I'm going to take the reciprocal. Notice where I put this negative sign. We'll put it here with the 3. Negative 8 times negative 3 is positive 24 divided by 18. And when I put that into the calculator, I end up with 1 1/3. It is positive. Let's go ahead and do this third one. First fraction stays the same. Change the sign. Change the sign, and then I'm going to take the reciprocal. Notice I put that negative up here with the 9. Negative 45 over 48. And I believe that will reduce down to negative 15. 48 divided by 3 over 16. Okay, so I'm going to have you do the dividing decimals on the decimal calculator. We're going to go to lesson 4, which are the word problems. Now, you see the I can statement, divide rational numbers with real world problems. There's 3 examples up here at the top, but you have to come down to the bottom and do this section first. It's all related together. And here's the question. A different water well rig with the height of 28.5 after 12 hours of continuous use. So it can dig after 12 hours 28.5 feet. At this rate, how long will it take to go 178 feet below? Okay, so I'm going to rewrite the information. 28.5 divided by 12. We're trying to see how many feet in 1 hour. Okay, so if I divide that, my 1 hour is going to equal 2.375 feet. So let's take a look at what I just did. I divided 12 hours into the number of feet. And so this gives me my 1 hour rate, which is 2.375 feet. Excuse me, so it can dig 2.375 feet in 1 hour. Let's answer the question. Now, the way I like to set this up, you're going to see when we get to equations and proportions, I like to use this information about the 1 hour and to find the 170, how long it would take to dig 171 feet. So watch how I set it up. 1 hour. What happens in 1 hour? It digs this many feet. But our question wants to know how many hours will it take to do 175 feet. So my feet are at the denominator. I'm going to put 171 feet. I don't know what that is yet. Now, we've done these proportions before. We're going to cross multiply. And we don't know what x is. So here's how I'm going to set it up. This is getting into your equations. And I'm going to cross multiply here. Now, we've got to solve for x. So we're going to divide on both sides. So if I divide this part right here, that is going to give me x equals 72 hours. Now, what does that mean? Well, in 72 hours, the rig can dig 171 feet. So there is an example of the word problem. Okay, now we're going to work the 3 problems at the top. Now, the key is I'm going to use this 1 hour rate of 2.375 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here. 1 hour equals 2.375 feet. So I can refer back to that information. Here's the first word problem. Assuming the rig drilled at a constant rate, word constant rate is key. What was the height of the drill after 15 hours? So basically it wants to know how far the drill drilled after 15 hours. So 1 hour is 2.375 feet. So in 15 hours, what happened? So I'm going to cross multiply again. And when I do this cross multiply part, x times 1 is x. So when I multiply these two, I get 35.625 feet. Okay, so that's how far it can drill in 15 hours. Second question. Again, this is how far it can drill in 15 hours. If the rig has been running at constant rate, currently at negative 1.475 feet, how long has the rig been running? Again, 1 hour is 2.375, but it wants to know how long in 147.5 feet below. 147.5 negative. How many hours? The hours is represented by the x. That's what we're trying to find. Cross multiply. Again, we don't know what x is. That's the time we're trying to find. And that stays the same because we're multiplying it by 1. So if we divide by 2.375, because we're trying to isolate that variable, x is going to give us, what I did right here is I divided by 2.375. 62.1, and that represents the hours. So let's review. In 61.1 hours, it can drill 147.5 feet. Put feet there. Okay, last one. At this rate, how many hours will it take to drill negative 250 feet? Again, 1 hour, 2.375, and it wants to know how long it will take to go 250 hours represents the x. Cross multiply again, just like we did the previous problem, equals 250. I'm not going to put that negative there, so it really doesn't matter with this problem. Divide by 2.375. 0.375. And that will give me x equals 105. What does that 105 represent? Number of hours it takes to drill 250 feet. So there is lesson 4.